Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so honored to have on platinum-selling, 100 million albums sold nationally. He's a songwriter, guitarist, of course, and a composer. Mick Mars, thanks for coming on the show, Mick.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
You know what? I can't get enough of this new album, Mick. The Other Side of Mars, which I like the tongue-in-cheek also. But you know, you didn't go back and rehash like old music and everything. This is all new. This is all Mick Mars.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like, why do you feel like going a different direction instead of, you know, certainly with 4 decades of hit songs to your credit, and with incredible guitar riffs that I tried to learn. You know, with this, it's like a very new metal kind of direction for you.
Well, I'll say it really simply. It's like, you know, when it's in with Motley, of course, I wrote Motley Crue songs.
Right.
But I still had my own ideas floating around in my head for years and years. And I finally got a chance to really express the first step in, you know, solo stuff. So.
Right. Well, and especially now that you've got your own studio here, you know, the Dungeon here in Nashville. So you've created your own space.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. So now the musicians come to you.
That's right. I just get out of bed, slap something on, go to the Dungeon, you know, come in.
And then grab one of your 2 guitars, maybe. Yeah.
Pardon me? Can you have some?
Yeah, well, you always need one more guitar.
No, I've got a lot. So.
Yeah, well, and I also liked it on the music videos. And I got to tell you, you know, the songs that released with the music videos, all of them are great. And the way they're shot and everything, and even like we were talking about, the pictures on the album just look incredible. But you know, how did you choose which guitars to use? And also, I want to talk about this great band you worked with.
You mean for my collection or for the...
No, for the album.
Oh,
for this album, what did you decide to play?
It was hard because there was a lot of records. I mean, a lot of guitars there, of course.
Right.
On some of the songs, I used a 7-string Ibanez that was given to me by Steve Vai.
Wow.
For my birthday, like many years ago.
Right.
And I used, of course, you know, my white guitar that I normally use on stage.
Right, so well known for.
A bunch of different things. Les Pauls, Stratocasters, different kinds of Stratocaster, Melody Maker.
Oh, wow.
And you know, a lot of different things.
Well, you know, and I got to ask you this too, Mick, because obviously with The Other Side of Mars, and you know, it's out now, you know, on digital, CD, and also on vinyl, thankfully, because it sounds so good. How did you choose the musicians that you brought on board for this? Because the bass player not only played bass, but also mixed and mastered the album with you.
Yes.
How did you choose these musicians?
Well, we'll start with Chris. Chris was introduced to me by Ray Luzier of Korn. And Chris does a lot of the Korn albums, right? Right. And so I was looking for, you know, for somebody like that. And Ray said, like, hey, I got, you know, this guy right here, and he did it. And I'm like, okay. But, you know, for recording, I used Michael Wagener, who actually started on Too Fast for Love.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, and I you know, met him through Dokken. And so when I met him and just, you know, all this stuff, and anyway, to make a long story short, the guy that recorded the record didn't record it very well. And so I called in Michael, and so that was his start as a producer,
right? Really,
in the LA area.
And you've worked with Michael for over 4 decades.
Yes.
And had a few hits and hit albums with him also over the years.
Well, yeah, well, you know, Too Fast for Love, yeah. But Michael went on to do a lot of other bands that had, I think the second album that he did was Skid Row. I think that hit like 10 million in sales. So he's a great producer.
Yeah,
well, and so it came full circle because he produced The Other Side of Mars as well.
Right.
So he's, you know, first to last. And he's retired now after this.
How amazing! So you got him for the last one then?
Yes, the first one and the last.
It's like the full circle.
Yes, that's right.
How amazing! Well, then also you've got Brian on here on vocals.
Oh yeah,
Our mutual friend.
yeah.
So how did you find all these people, or did they just find you?
I wish. No, I searched around for a long time because I've been looking for a particular thing. For Brian, I met him through Paul Taylor, who did stuff with Winger and Alice Cooper and
Right.
those people.
Amazing.
And I met him through him, Brian, and he did Undone and Killing Breed.
And I
which
love
was-
Undone. Undone is so good.
Oh, thank you.
What a great song, and that's got a music video with it also.
Oh yes, yeah. But he came in, let's say with the first one, Loyal to the Lie, with Jacob Bunton. He's won a few Emmys and Grammys and things like
few.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I met him through Paul as well,
Right.
and so it just kind of blossomed out into this thing that I have, and it's like when I auditioned probably 10, 12 people.
Well,
But
and
I mean,
I'm sure also, Mick, that you had a lot of people falling over themselves to be on this album, knowing that, coming out with a solo album like this, you had you knew what songs you wanted to do, you knew the sound, and also you didn't want to repeat yourself, because a lot of artists, and certainly you and I both, more blues and classic rock, coming up early on, but you didn't want to repeat what you've already done.
No, absolutely not.
And that's hard, for somebody like you that has had so many hits over the years, and your guitar playing is so well known.
Well, it's like I got a lot of stuff going on in my brain. There's a lot. There's a lot of diversity in what I listened to when I was growing up. Everywhere from blues to Gentle Giant, King Crimson, and Robert Fripp, and all those. There's and all between.
Right.
A lot of blues, a lot of that kind of thing. So I got a lot.
I'd say. Well, and I've heard rumors too, and tell me if they're right, that you're already working on new songs and everything. You're already working on your next album.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a heck of a pace, man.
Not really, because really, things have been floating around for quite a while. Before I could, like I say, I was very dedicated to my band,
Totally.
and so it's like when I'm freed up to do what it is that I can do,
Right.
The Other Side of Mars comes out.
Well, and also, it's such a great title, but also that it's under your own label also, Mick.
Yes.
So where you control it, you control the masters, you control the music, you control it
Everything.
all.
Yes.
Because I can't help it, but when I was listening to the songs on here, and as I mentioned, so many great songs, and I love the photography, but Loyal to the Lie, it's like a number of these songs to me sounded like they could really work well for film or TV.
Oh yeah. Intentionally.
Really?
Yes.
Because a lot of times that's not intentional, but it's like when I was listening to these, I thought, I could just hear it, as like a soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, so where is it? Stuck.
Right.
In your head.
Exactly. That's a good place to be.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well, and especially, to bring out, at this time, to bring out a fresh new sound and not just, and I'm not knocking it, but, a lot of bands and a lot of artists, once they have their niche, they just keep doing their niche. They keep doing that sound and that trick. And you really kind of took a right-hand turn, which is
Yes.
very bold.
Again, on purpose. It's diversity. I felt was kind of like, or is not always, but this missing
Right.
nowadays. And purposely wrote this way, in this manner, to take you on a little short journey, this stuff is every song you hear, you're imagining or seeing a different landscape or whatever.
Right.
It's a musicscape, I guess.
Totally.
But Yeah, I wanted to put that across to show that I'm not just this guy, you know.
Well, and it has to be freeing for you, Mick, you know, after all of these years, once again, you know, multi-platinum, you know, hundreds of millions of albums sold and everything else, but also to be able to create the music that you want, that moves you, not just as part of a larger band.
Yes. Yeah, it's a, you know, it's very, I feel more like I'm free to do just whatever I want.
Right. I wondered because it seems like, you know, otherwise, you know, once, you know, when you're selling out, you know, huge arenas and everything else, as you guys have done, then it's also a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, to where it's like you have to keep delivering that consistently.
Yeah.
But also you can't, you know, you've got music in your mind and music in your hands that you kind of held back from.
Well, you know, I had to save it for the right time, you know. And, you know, I played have written for like, I don't know, long times. If I would have done any of those songs and re-resurrected them and stuff, they would sound dated. So this is all, you know, new, fresh ideas that
You can tell. You can tell from the sound. Well,
Yeah.
I was going to bring up, too, to where some of our viewers may not know. They just know you from, you know, certainly, you know, your time with Motley Crue and also as a solo artist. But, you know, you started out, you know, as a young man in Indiana and then, you know, playing music, you know, with some cover bands and doing all these different bands in L.A. And then you hit the big time in the 80s to where, you know, you helped forge a lot of the 80s guitar sounds, don't you think, Mick?
Oh yeah, it's. You know, I went like to a lot of the clubs down there, like Starwood and Roxy and all those places, and just heard the guitar tones. But see, it's like I'm leaning more when I hear like Jeff Beck or some of those guys like that, and Hendrix or those. It's like that tone that they get is. I mean, you hear it and you know it's them.
It's in their hands.
And yeah.
Yeah, I heard the rumor too, to where, you know, I'd read that you were recording and Steven Tyler was recording next door, and possibly your amps were so loud that they ended up in the Aerosmith mix.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So you're actually on Aerosmith albums then also?
Yes.
Okay, well there
and
you go.
And he's on one of mine.
Yeah. But also, you know, you have lent your guitar playing to a lot of other artists. And what I love about this album with The Other Side of Mars, and also what you did with Motley Crue in the past, was I can hear a guitar lick, Mick, and I know it's you.
Yeah.
I can hear it. It's like as soon as I hear it, like I've got some of your songs, you know, on my playlist for the gym to motivate me. And when I hear them kick in and you playing, it's like going, that's Mick Mars.
Very good. That's the same with me with Jeff Beck.
Right. Well, but I mean, that's what I think what great players and great artists do. And it just seems like with your new music, you're really freed up to do more of that now.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a billion different things that you can do. And to stay in this little box, nah, I can't do that.
And you may need one more guitar for this.
And I need one more guitar.
You already got one of George Gruen's new guitars.
Yes, I got his
Beat
guitar.
me to that.
Yes, it's a very good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. Well, I mean, and obviously you're really loving it here in Nashville too, you know, being able to work with so many other songwriters and musicians here.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it seems like it just feeds to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Creatively.
Learn too.
So is the next album going to be like freeform jazz? Are we going to go Spinal Tap on this, or?
I was thinking about resurrecting Cab Calloway, but you know. No.
I would listen to that.
I would too. I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you know, and you remember back in the day too, so many guitarists, you know, you would listen to like Miles Davis or someone, or you know, Coltrane, and try and pick out their solos, and apply them to guitar.
Yeah. Well, that's trying to copy Miles from him, you know.
Oh my gosh.
That one would be extremely difficult.
It's like trying to copy your guitar playing. It's very difficult, Mick.
Really?
Yes. Take my word.
Okay.
I've tried.
I trust you.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, however you consume music right now, it's out on all digital platforms. It's also out on CD. There's some cool new merch. It's The Other Side of Mars with Mick Mars. you want to check this out, I recommend vinyl because I think that's really the best way to enjoy this. And don't expect to hear just some of the music that Mick has done in the past. I mean, this is really a great new direction. This entire album, every song is just, it stands on its own. I think you're going to be all over the radio and all over playlists, Mick.
Oh, thank you.
Well, congratulations.
I'm hoping so.
I think it's amazing. The other side of Mars, the other side of Mick Mars. Mick, thank you so much for coming on the show.
All good, man. Anytime.
Great having you on.
Right. Thank you, Eric.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.